All right, back out in Sharon's Garden Wilderness. We have officially had the wettest April in the history of Oklahoma. I didn't think the refuge was going to open up, but it did. The floodwaters receded a little bit quicker than I expected. So I'm heading out here to Sharon's Garden just to get some shots of some waterfalls that I've dropped pins on before when they were dry. And then I'm gonna get just below Post Oak Lake Dam. It's finally flowing nicely. I've waited for years to get footage of it. This is the creek right here that comes off of it. So I'm going around it. Don't want to try to cross it. Try not to get wet. All right, found a nice little game trail that cuts through here. Once again, there's game trails to get to all these spots that I go to. I had this on the agenda for Saturday, but it rained so much so quick. We had major flash flooding and they decided to close the refuge, which I do think was a good idea because I drove through right before they closed it and the roads are already getting bad. So luckily today the flooding's not near as bad. All right, this one here is shrouded by rocks for the most part. The next one down I believe is wide open. We should have a good view of that one. Now this waterfall here, you notice there's Treasure Cave. It's got a couple of cascades on either side, but especially this one just to the south of it. If you follow that tributary all the way back towards Granite Peak, you will find this waterfall. It's pretty cool. Kind of looks like a slot canyon. There's a lot of rock rooms with water running through them. Once again, if you do go through here, it's super slick. It can be treacherous. Make sure you know whether or not there's more rain or more drainage coming. Be very careful. All right, heading on north. Flowers are already starting to take over out here. It is going to be very impressive out here in May because of all these rains. And I'll tell you what, we were in such a drought. I mean, these rains definitely pulled us out of the drought. All right, this is what I came for right here, this runoff. Yeah, I know it's not natural. This used to be a big canyon. They threw a dam in the middle of it. This is still really cool though. I'm gonna get a little bit closer safely and get some close-up shots. Looks like it's about to go down. Longhorn versus bison. Who do you got? Well, it was a pretty good day of hunting for waterfalls. I knocked out my targets. They were all in one area. There was a couple of waterfalls I expected to be going better, and they actually weren't. I was a little bit shocked by that, but then again, I found others that I didn't know were out there. So when it's dry and I'm out there hiking, I drop pins and I come back and check them later when the water's flowing. And sometimes they look really cool and sometimes they don't. So a couple of them today weren't that great. A couple of them were really awesome. It balances out every time. So after I left Post Oak Lake and Treasure Lake in that area, I went around to the north side of Sharon's Garden and I checked out the smaller dams at the Sunset parking area, and then also the little dams below Caddo Lake. I actually hadn't ventured out to those before. One of them was broken and water was going right through it. It's nothing that happened recently. It's probably been a few decades. After that, I went over to Osage Lake because I needed some good footage of the dam with water going over it. So I knocked that out. Then I made my way over to the Prairie Dog Ghost Town, and I parked at the pullout that's just to the west of it, and I hiked directly south over to French Lake. I've got plenty of shots from the south side of West Cache Creek, but I wanted to come in from the north this time. It wasn't too bad, and I think the footage turned out pretty good from that side. After French Lake, I went over to Burford Lake, where there was a Longhorn roadblock. Oh, looks like the Longhorns beat me here. Trying not to spook them. That one's straight up burnt orange. Alright, now that the wildlife has passed, check out the dam. So I got my footage at Burford Lake, and then I went over to Crater Lake, and there were quite a few water snakes out. Alright, after Crater Lake, I made my way over to Jed Johnson. Got some shots of the dam, a couple from the side here, one from further out. After that, I decided to swing through Medicine Park. I didn't have my drone on me. I did get these shots a few days ago. The water has only gone up since then. The floodgates are open on Lake Latonka, so Medicine Creek is really high. Probably the highest I've seen it since about 2015, maybe even 2008. It could go up a little bit more. Unfortunately, when this happens, Lawton floods. I grew up on the east side of Lawton in Sullivan Village, and there's a couple of times I can remember that Cache Creek was out of the banks and the east side was cut off from the west side. Pretty strong chance that is going to happen. I feel bad for everybody that has houses over there in Turtle Creek and Garden Village, Shelter Creek, all those areas. Very familiar with those housing additions, man. Hopefully the damage is minimized. I did venture down to the Red River. I'll tell you what, I put a lot of miles in the last few days. I did go down to get some footage along the Red River. I'm putting a video together of the Marcy expedition. So I went to get some drone footage of Cache Creek and the Red River at flood stage, and I mean, I'm mind blown by how high the water is. It just looks like a giant lake. Well, hope you enjoyed some of this footage. We haven't even hit the peak of tornado season yet, so that's coming. Tomorrow's May 1st, so I appreciate y'all watching the videos. I appreciate y'all following us on social media. You know the drill. Share, like, subscribe. It's free. It's always going to be free. Y'all have a great night.